Hello and welcome to Saturday's developer sessions at EGX 2015. Coming up next at 3 o'clock, we have a session on the next Hitman game. At 4, Naughty Dog will be talking us through the making of the Uncharted games. Just quickly before I introduce our next session, a bit of housekeeping. We're hoping to have a little time for question and answers at the end of this session. If you do have a question, please queue up behind the microphone in this aisle here, and hopefully we'll be able to get to you. So with that, please welcome, introducing us to version 1 of Prison Architect, Mark and Chris from Introversion.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
It's a little bit different, isn't it? Normally, I know for a fact that you do these alpha launch videos in your pants.
Well, how do you know I'm not in my pants now?
Well, I'm standing next to you, mate. So, how are you enjoying the show?
It's pretty good, mate. It's pretty good. Mate, look at the size of your character. Where did you find that printer?
It's a big old character, mate. It's big and it represents my girth very well. Did you see anything interesting on the show floor?
I haven't had much time to look around, mate. I've been on the booth for the whole time, haven't I?
You have been working very hard, mate. You always work very hard. I had a little look around, and my favorite game here so far is Man or Goat.
Man or Goat.
I mean it, mate. There's a game called Man or Goat, and basically this crazy guy, he's recorded himself making 3,000 goat noises, and you have to tell, and you have to tell the difference. And he's also recorded 3,000 goats, and you have to tell whether it's him or whether it's a goat.
Wow.
That's
Where do you go to record 3,000 goats?
A goat farm. Now, I think we should probably get out there.
Do you think the actual microphones are turned on at this point? Surely not. This is just a sound check.
Sound check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Are your flies done up, buddy?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right, let's go. Get out there.
All right.
I'm really pleased that our wives and families clapped us onto the stage, mate. Everyone else has found the wrong room. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Has anybody in here played Prison Architect? Could you clap if you have? Right, good. Good. So we're here today. And have any of you watched our alpha videos? Again, could you have a clap if you have? If any of you laughed at that joke with the cardboard cutouts, could you clap? Because we couldn't tell out the back. All right, so it's a little bit funny, a little bit funny. So we're here today to talk about Prison Architect version 1 launch, and we're going to do a live alpha video for you. But there might be some people in here or out on the internet that haven't heard of Prison Architect. So I'm just going to briefly talk a little bit about the game and where it came from. So Prison Architect is a prison management and construction game. You start off with an empty plot of land. You have some prisoners bust in. You've got to build a holding cell, otherwise they'll escape and they'll run away. If you leave them in the holding cell, they'll start beating each other up because that's what some prisoners do. So you need to build a cell block, and you put the prisoners into the cell block. Then you've got to build a canteen to feed them, showers so that they can be cleaned. And then you guys know, because you played Prison Architect, but for those that don't, many, many other systems that are within the game. Now, the idea originally came to Chris when he was on holiday in San Francisco in Alcatraz, and that's just a photo that he took there of a prison cell, which shows just sort of how dirty and like vile the conditions were in that particular place. And the idea was kind of fully formed. It came as a fully formed idea based on all those great Bullfrog games, Dungeon Keeper, Dwarf Fortress, well, Theme Hospital, another one all by Bullfrog, but those kind of construction management sims that were so popular in the 90s when we were really gaming, and then just kind of sort of died a death. And so Chris came up with the idea on the plane home, came and sat down to me. We were having a conversation about whether to do it or not, and then we worked for about 2 years on the first version of Prison Architect. And then we announced, we found out that we announced at Eurogamer in 2012 Prison Architect version 1. And here we are again.
Doesn't really change, does it?
Nothing's changed,
Nothing
doesn't it?
actually changes.
You look exactly the same as you did before.
Yeah. You've put on a few pounds, to be honest.
Is that fat joke number 2 for anyone that's counting? So we launched at Eurogamer actually yesterday, September the 25th, 2012, at the Eurogamer Expo. And at that point, Prison Architect, even then, had found a really big audience, much bigger than we ever anticipated. We'd sold $100,000 worth in 3 days, which really enabled us to get stuck into Prison Architect in its, in the full way, doing everything that we wanted to do. Now, this is some of the artwork that we've put together for the version 1 launch, which is happening on the 6th of October. I might mention that a lot, because that's one of the key takeaways from this presentation. And one of the things that I like about this picture is it shows all of the depth and the complexity that we've been able to put into it in this 3-year period. When we started out, we had a list, we've still got it, a big spreadsheet, which we call the master work list, of everything that we wanted to put into Prison Architect, everything that we thought would be necessary to include in a prison game such that we could launch it and call it version 1. So you can see up there, if you're looking closely, you can see armed guards, you can see riot teams that go in there, there's dogs in there, there's builders, there's people of different faiths, because you can set up faith centers, there's teachers for teaching people things and all the different programs that you can run. I mean, there's weapons in there, there's contraband, there's escape tunnels, there's all of these things that if you've been following the alpha, you'll be aware of and have played. One of the questions that we've been asked, we've done some press interviews over the last couple of days, and we've been asked quite a lot, how has the community directed Prison Architect, and how has the community helped you achieve the game? And the answer that I give is that without the community, without the alpha process, there would be no Prison Architect. There could be no Prison Architect, because the level of the complexity of this game, there are so many systems interacting that if we hadn't been able to add another layer in and then put it out to test, make sure that works, move on, layer in a little bit more complexity, fundamentally what we would be releasing a week on Tuesday would just be rubbish, and it wouldn't work, and it would be full of bugs. And I promise you that it's not full of bugs, is it, mate?
It's not rubbish either.
No, it's not rubbish either. Neither rubbish or full of bugs. So without the community, we really genuinely couldn't be here, both in terms of the resources that we've got to build the team and make Prison Architect, but also fundamentally, we just could not have made this product without everyone's help. So I wanted to say thank you for that. Now, this was Steam Spy's data on Prison Architect as of yesterday, when we finally sat down and wrote this talk, which is a figure that I'm incredibly proud of. 1,396,237 players of Prison Architect. Our business as game developers, what we want to do is just make people happy. And I'm absolutely astonished that we made 1,396,237 people happy. But the question that I know you're all asking is, how happy have we made them? And the bottom line is we've made them 94% happy. And that is something of which I just couldn't be any more proud of. I think the team, Chris, myself, everybody else have done an absolutely outstanding job on Prison Architect, and you guys obviously like it as well, which is wonderful. Now, when we were thinking about launching Prison Architect and making version 1, we had a bit of a problem. And the issue is, we've got this enormous player base, but not all of those people are kind of playing Prison Architect at the moment. They would have played it for a bit, would have played one of the alphas, and then kind of come back later on. So we needed to find out a way to try and draw everybody back into to playing the game. So how have you done that?
You dropped me in it there, haven't you?
I have dropped you right in it.
Well, what we've done is we consider the sandbox to be one primary game mode. And the sandbox is what everyone's been playing all the way through the alpha. And we've actually added 2 new game modes to the game, which we'll show you here on stage. The first thing, for anybody that's played the alpha, they're probably familiar with the introductory story that had Edward and the death row facility. That was our introduction and tutorial. We've expanded on that idea and made a whole story campaign. And the reason why we've done this is that every TV program that you've ever seen about prisons, or every movie about prisons, is always full of really interesting characters, really dubious characters. And that's what kind of humanizes the idea of people inside prison. Because Prison Architect could be just very abstract, and like you're just looking at a sandbox of hundreds of prisoners, and you can't tell any of them apart. So we crafted a 5-chapter story, and I'm not going to spoil the story at all, because we want you all to play it, and it's all in version 1. but it's simultaneously a set of really interesting stories set in prisons and also a kind of tutorial that teaches you how to play the game, so that each time you play, each level that you play is successively a little bit harder than the last one, and a little bit more is expected of you than the last chapter, until by the end of the story, you're essentially ready to play the sandbox. And the sandbox has had 3 years of layering in systems and complexity, so it's quite an intimidating thing to play for new players. And this is kind of why we designed the stories, to introduce new players to the game. This is one of the pictures from one of the later chapters. We try to go outside the prison, as well as looking at people who are in the prison, and look at the wider effect of prisons on the societies that they're in. There's another game mode that we've been working on for quite a while, and we're quite excited about it, and it's called Escape Mode. Now, Escape Mode takes Prison Architect and turns the whole thing on its head. Anybody that's played the alpha might remember one of our alpha videos, I don't know which one, like alpha 20 or something. If you messed up really, really badly, and you got loads of prisoners killed, you would be convicted of corporate manslaughter and you would be sent to jail. So you would arrive in prison in handcuffs, and it was just like a joke. You'd be dropped off at your prison door, and you couldn't really do anything. So for the last 6 months or so, we've been fleshing that out into a whole other game mode, whereby you essentially arrive at any prison that you've ever made or any prison that you find on Steam Workshop, and you have to escape. And I think the best thing to do at this stage, mate, is to do a demo.
Mate, do me a demo. I've not seen Escape Mode.
That's not actually true. So, the thing about Escape Mode, the thing that's really, really interesting is that ever since we launched Steam Workshop support, we have something like 12,000 user-made prisons available for play on the Steam Workshop. And now any one of those 12,000 prisons can be loaded up in Escape Mode and escaped from. So I think I'll do a bit of an example. You're going to Extras, and you're going to Escape Mode, and I'm going to try this one. So this is how it opens. You arrive by bus. Here's me. And straight away, it looks a little bit different to ordinary Prison Architect, right? So you can't actually see, there's me dressed up. I don't know why. Is Ryan here? Because I'm still dressed as Mario, and I don't entirely know why.
Mate, this is version 1. You can't be dressed as Mario.
This is version 1, and I'm still dressed
as
as Mario. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
So the guards take you into your prison cell. The area that you see there, where it's kind of like red crosshatch, that essentially means an area that you're not permitted to go into. So if you walk into that area, you'll be, arrested by your guards and taken back to your cell. Now, as is the joy of a live demo, I don't actually know which prison cell I'm going to be taken to, because it quite radically affects what's going to happen in this demo. It looks like we're being taken to a good one, which is good news. Some prisons are far worse than others. Sometimes you'll be taken into a prison and there's just like 10 taser guards outside your prison, and you have no chance of doing anything.
Did the guard just put you on the toilet, mate?
Yes. Why not?
All right, why not, yeah.
Should we log that as a bug?
Yeah.
Guard drops off prisoner on toilet. So this is me. There's me. Hello. So one of the things we wanted to do in Escape Mode is make it so that anything that your prisoners can do in the game, you can do in-game. So we haven't really kind of added a ton of extra stuff to the game. We've kind of just exposed the systems that make up the sandbox into Escape Mode. So for example, anybody that knows the game well will know that cleaning cupboards are a wonderful place to steal things from, like broken wooden handles that can be used as truncheons. All right, now we're talking. So, is there game sound? Can anybody hear game sound? Oh, well, there's no game sound.
Do you want me to do the game sounds?
Yeah, you do the game sounds.
All right.
Whoosh.
I thought I was doing the game sounds.
You do the game sounds.
All right.
Whoosh. Whoosh.
Not getting anything but buzz out of you right now.
Ah.
I'm going to get game sounds.
You've got game sound there.
Yeah.
Volume up.
Now I can hear
now
it.
there's sound.
There we
Thank
go.
you
You've
very
got to
much.
plug it in,
There you go.
mate.
There you go.
Gotcha.
So your ultimate aim is to escape, but there are various ways that you can go about that. So we've built in a kind of like, you might know that so prisoners have got a reputation in Prison Architect. So some prisoners are legendary prisoners, and some prisoners are just nobodies. So the way that you kind of upgrade your character is by causing trouble and building up your reputation. So, for example, I'm just not going to miss that opportunity. These two gardeners, they went into the security room. All right, so let's just start a fight in the security room like this.
Shit kicked in, mate.
All right, I'm sick of this prison already. Come on then. All right, so that's not how to cause trouble in Prison Architect, okay? That's how to walk into the security room and get beaten up. So I've been knocked unconscious, I've been handcuffed, and I've got 6 hours of solitary confinement to look forward to. How long do we have? That's the end of our demo. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
we don't
goodbye.
really.
Thanks
I'm going to click on the skip punishments button. All right, so you never have to wait around. So we're encouraging you to cause trouble, but we don't want you to wait around in solitary for hours on end. So if I, for example, let's see, there's still blood on the floor. It's still there. Let's try. Should we try and raid the workshop? I don't know this prison very well. The workshop that I happen to know is over here is a very good place to steal things from. And I think we want something a little bit better than that, like, say, okay. All right. There we go.
There we go.
Now we have a wooden pickaxe.
Ah.
All right. That's the kind of thing that we can... Oh, that's tempting, isn't it? No. So if I steal a wooden pickaxe, for example, from the workshop, I can take it back. Where is my cell? It's actually this way, isn't it? All right, here we go. All right.
Is this genuinely a prison you've never played before?
Yes.
In a live demo?
Why wouldn't it be?
Well done, mate.
Are you
well
saying
done.
that's a bad idea?
No, I'm sure it'll work out just fine.
Let's have a look.
They think this is just banter, but it's actually true.
Yeah, right. My God, did you hear that? Was that me?
I think it was you.
Let's have a look, shall we? So, yeah, see, here we go. We're digging an escape tunnel now. Yeah, did you feel that bass? That bass is incredible on the stage,
good,
isn't it? All right. So this is one possible route out, right? So I could dig my escape tunnel all the way out like that and just follow it all the way out. What is this guy doing here?
Is he stuck?
Don't know.
It can't be a bug, mate, because we're at version 1 now.
There aren't any bugs left
any more
in
bugs
version
in the game?
Should we see? He's gone to the security room again. I don't believe it.
Oh, no, there's a doctor in... Oh. Run away!
Right.
Right. Why are you picking on the gardener? It's done nothing to you.
All right. Maybe we should try something a little bit more effective.
Right.
What time is it? All
What time is it? Yeah.
Let's have a look. So
Right, you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah. If we try, let's see, what's a good idea? Oh, hello. See, when you start out like this, it's quite difficult. Now, so what happened there is I managed to knock him unconscious, and whenever you manage to achieve something like that, you get this idea of reputation points. Right? So because I've caused a little bit of trouble, I have 1 reputation point that I can now spend. Now, this is all the reputation points that your prisoners would normally have in Sandbox, so being strong or tough or deadly. So deadly, for example, if you decide to upgrade your character with deadly, it means that you can sometimes, not always, but sometimes punch somebody and instantly kill them with 1 hit.
Do you spend those reputation points in those categories?
Yes, you do. So Instigator,
right,
for example,
right.
if you spend it there, will encourage every prisoner around you to join in with the fight if you cause trouble. Or I can... okay.
Oh, no.
That wasn't what I actually wanted to do. Let's try this. Okay. All right. Fine then. Fine.
There's a security room over there, mate, if you want to go and get some help from the guards.
This is a slightly anarchic demo, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're not actually winning this, are we? I think we need to go this way. at this point, irony of ironies, we actually need the guards to come over because we're actually losing this fight quite badly.
What's he? Oh, I thought he was coming to join in and beat you up as well. He must know you too.
All right. Oh, there you go. I never thought I'd be happy to hear that sound.
They've knocked you out again.
All right, now,
Oh,
so
dear.
by causing a little bit of trouble, we've got 4 reputation points now. So I think tough would be a good place to start, because that means if you get tough, it means that you'll be, take a lot more hits during fights.
Right.
And if you want to spend more points, you can go for extremely tough.
Right.
Now, I need to make sure that I press the right button this time. Right? So the other thing that I can do is recruit other prisoners to join our cause. Right? So if I right-click on this guy, there we go. I've got a little follower now. Right? Let's see if we can find
He's holding
some more.
on to the inside of your pockets, isn't he, mate?
Like teabag style.
That's what he's doing, yeah.
Let's try this guy. Oh, yeah. Okay, what do you want? Go away. All right, just a random spot search. Let's try this guy as well. All right, now, each time you recruit somebody, so they're in follower mode as well, so they'll help you out. So if you happen to be digging escape tunnels, they'll help you out with that too if they have tunnels, if they have tools of their own.
Right.
And similarly, you can spend your reputation points on them too. So as you gradually, upgrade yourself and all your characters, it gets easier and easier to cause more and more trouble. What time is it? So let's try as a last thing. I'm going to bring my guys with me, and I'm going to try. Well, let's try and make a run for it, shall we? Should we try and make a run for it? Through this little area?
Go for it.
Right. There's enough of us, possibly. All right. All right. So if we go this way, my guys will follow me.
They're punching the
They
toilet.
close the doors.
God, they're loyal, aren't they, mate?
Yeah, I know. Right. Okay. Fine then. All right. Oh, in that case, then I'm leaving you guys behind. And I'm going
well,
this
you're
way.
not very loyal.
Here we go. Right. So this is. Oh dear.
Oh, dear.
That's the exit. That's the exit right there.
Go on, sir, go on.
Right, so we punch the armed guard and roll the dice.
Oh,
There's our guy. Go,
you're
go,
so
go.
close, man.
All right, I haven't given up yet. Right, so if my first guy got knocked unconscious,
Oh, are you controlling him now?
yeah. So my other teammates, oh, he's gone too. Right, so there you go. So that time, all 3 of my teammates got knocked unconscious that time.
Right.
So we didn't actually manage it. So the general impression I'm trying to get across is that this is quite a different game to Prison Architect, right? All the same levels of simulation that are in the sandbox game are running simultaneously. It's just that it's all flipped on its head. So disarming armed guards and taking their shotguns is a strategy.
Yep.
Knocking out guards and stealing their keys is a strategy.
Yep.
And there's thousands and thousands of prisoners to try from. This particular mode is really aimed at people who've been playing for a long time and fancy something a little bit different from the normal
more
sandbox
frivolous
mode. There you go. That's escape mode.
So are you actually going to escape from this prison, or are you just going to admit
I don't think
defeat?
it's very likely, actually.
Just
at
really
this stage.
give up on it.
Yeah,
What happens when you escape? Bells, whistles, fireworks.
You get a score, and you get a score screen. It tells you how long it took you.
Amazing. Yeah, brilliant. So that's escape mode. Do you like it? Yeah? Yeah, good, cool. I'm glad that you do. I like it a lot. It's good. We think we're going to carry on updating Prison Architect after we've launched, and it's going to be very interesting for us to see whether people start understanding escape mode and crafting prisons specifically for escape mode. That's what I'd love to see happen. And then we can support that by leaderboards and all sorts of other things that we can do to kind of encourage the development of prisons to make escape mode a really awesome game. Right, so we're kind of coming to the end of what we wanted to talk to you about. We're going to take some questions in a minute. But yesterday, I got an email from the Trailer Farm who have done one of our trailers for Prison Architect. And normally I wouldn't really show off a trailer because I think that's to get new people into the game. But this one really made me laugh, so I thought I'd share it with you.
Prison Architect, your prison, your rules. Download now.
It's really good, isn't it? I think the guys have done really well with that. So, before we take some questions, these are the three takeaways, messages, whatever you want to call them. We launch on October the 6th. We've got Story Campaign, which is going to bring a whole range of, make it much easier for all new players to understand the sandbox. Hopefully everyone that already understands the sandbox and got loads of hours in will really enjoy what we've done with the characters and telling the story. And then obviously we've got Escape Mode, which we've put an awful lot of effort in. That's it from what we've got to say to you. But if there's any questions, I think there's a microphone somewhere so we can take some questions for about 5 minutes. There it is. There's a spotlight. That's posh, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. That's fancy.
Not intimidating at all, is it? Go on, somebody go and ask us a question. Here we go. Brave man.
Hello. So I was just wondering. Oh God, I can name myself. So you've gone through the early access sort of system. Are there any recommendations you would make for other developers going through early access?
Yeah, early access is wonderful when used well and when used kind of properly. And I think some developers and publishers look at early access as just another way of exploiting a bit of, we'll do pre-orders, but hey man, let's do early access when it's shit and we'll sell them that, and make loads more money. I think that not every game type is suitable for early access, so that's something. If early access is the strategy, then the game that you're developing doesn't really want to have a narrative structure. Part of the reason why we had to hold the story mode back for so long is that we can't give it to you in early access because you'll understand the story, right? And neither could we give it to you in like bite-sized chunks, because you think about playing chapter 1 and then a month later you play chapter 2, you'd have forgotten chapter 1, it wouldn't really work. So early access is great when you've got a game where you can sort of layer in more complexity, or you've got some procedural generation or something that's more kind of replayable than narrative. But other than that, just like everything, treat it with respect. Treat the gamers with respect. Be honest about what you're going to do with early access. Tell people that you're going to update it every week, and then go absolutely silent, and people will lose faith. Quite rightly, we really didn't know at the start whether we were going to be able to maintain this monthly cycle of alpha updates and videos and things. So we didn't tell anybody at the start how frequently we were going to be updating. It's only about the last kind of year or so that we've been saying it's a monthly update, because we figured out that we could deliver monthly updates. So that's the other thing I would say. Just be honest, with setting the expectations to the community.
Right, thank
Cool.
you, and
Thanks, man.
congratulations again.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Okay, just 2 short questions. One, how long will it take me to complete the story campaign to get into the sandbox? Obviously, I know it's split. And also, in the escape modes, is there like relationships, as in, will people hate me and try and stab me, certain people? And then will certain people want to be like my buddy?
Oh, they will do. If you antagonize some gang members, the rest of the gang will not take it very nicely and will all jump on you simultaneously. And that would not be, therefore, a very good strategy for trying to escape. But you build up your team in escape mode gradually by spending those reputation points that you've picked up. They become your sort of loyal teammates. For the story mode, it sort of depends how experienced a player you are. So if you're if you've been playing the sandbox, for hundreds of hours, then I can play it in 6.5 hours now, and I know this because we've been testing story mode repeatedly for the last month. So I've been playing it a lot. But whereas it's aimed at new players, and I think new players will spend a lot longer playing through that story campaign. It all depends on how experienced you are at the game.
But also, I'm not sure if I understood, the sandbox is not unlocked after the campaign.
No.
Yeah, if you want to just play the sandbox, you can. But there's so much complexity in there. Your options are you can play the story chapters, which are probably about 8 to 10 hours, and have a good time. Or you can watch all 36 hours of the Mark and Chris show, which I would imagine would be quite a painful experience.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hey guys, I've got a couple of questions as well. My first one being about the story campaign, whether you've kind of researched it by talking to people that have actually had kind of experiences in prison and used that in your game. And my second question is whether the game's going to be released on consoles in the future.
Tough one.
You do the first
I'll
bit
say the first one. We did, yes, and every single one of the people that we talked to requested to remain completely anonymous. We talked to one prison guard, we talked to an ex-prisoner who'd been in jail for a long time, and it's very, very interesting actually listening to their stories. And we did a great deal of research about prisons. We present the game in quite a light-hearted way, as in the graphical style, to make it palatable, but we still simulate virtually everything. We go as dark as you want to go in the game, basically. It's just that it's presented in a light way. But we definitely wanted to make it have that, not be completely based on total fantasy, you know, be actually based on some idea of reality of what prisons are actually like.
And in answer to your second question, when we were looking yesterday at our Eurogamer talk in 2012, and somebody asked the same question to Chris, and Chris's response is, I've got no interest in doing a console version, but Mark will almost certainly ramroad me into doing it, and eventually we'll have one. And indeed, I am trying to ramroad him into doing a console version. That's the best you'll get.
I hope that you do.
Yeah. What consoles would you like?
Well, either. I mean, I've got both, so.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but,
All right, boasting. Okay, yeah.
But, yeah, it'd just be nice to have the option to play it on the console for those who don't have a PC at home.
Yeah, I mean, so PC, Mac, and Linux for launch. We've got an iPad version, an Android version. They'll be coming out sometime in Q4, I would imagine. And then plans are afoot. That's what we'll say.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hiya. I've got a question. Would in Alpha 1.1 or something, would there be any chance of the man on the inside, like a guard who brings in contraband for?
Yeah, I like this idea, you know. I mean, we were talking about the list of things that we had to put into a game and call it version 1, and guard corruption, like, very nearly made it in. And definitely, as we go forward, this is something I want to look into. Two aspects, actually. And this came from our conversation with like various prison officers around the world and things. Guard corruption, which can be linked to gangs and things, you know, either you turn a blind eye or will hit your family or whatever, but also guard intimidation. You know, this idea that if you don't have enough guards in a wing, the prisoners will start to own that wing, and your guards will just start being ineffectual. At the moment, our guards tend to sort of just about do their job unless they're tired or whatever. But yeah, I'd like to explore that. But part of the problem we've got is it's quite subtle. It's quite a subtle thing. So for new players, they're going to naturally trust their guards. So for us to start bending that trust to the guard in the gameplay context, we have to be quite careful about how we manage it. But it's something that I'd like to get in. It's a good idea.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, cool. Hi. I've been following a lot of your update videos over the development of Prison Architect. And one of the things that's always really interested me is when you talk about design and how when you're implementing something, you don't want it to be interpreted in a certain way and you're not really sure. For instance, when you were talking about how you implemented the death chair and how you didn't want just like these prisons that were just farms of just killing people off over and over and over. So what's been like your biggest challenge when you've been going through this game in terms of design and implementation?
Yeah, the difficulty is finding ways to take a real-world issue like execution facilities and actually make game mechanics out of it, because it has to be a game primarily, and if it's not, you know, we had long conversations about we don't want to just simulate things for the sake of it. You know, there always has to be some way that the player can interact with that simulation and change it and do things about it, and so. That particular issue, death row, that took us a long time to figure out how to do that in a way that we felt was balanced and wouldn't just be abused by, you know, people building horrible, horrible places. And that's why we made the process, you know, we deliberately made the process really quite uncomfortable for the player as well. And it's always that challenge. The time when it works best is when the game mechanics and the theme are kind of intertwined at the same time, and people are kind of, you know, they're finding things out about how a prison must really work, but they're also playing a fun game. That's the real challenge, I think.
Yeah, that's actually something that really came across to me is a lot of issues were posed by the simulation, and questions would be asked of you without you guys actually ever talking to me at all. So how you like care for people, how you lock them up, their scheduling, how things interact.
Yeah, it's taken us 3 years to get to the point where we've been able to get some of the hardest themes into the game. Actually, definitely gangs and death row and things are some of the hardest ones to do mechanically. We knew we wanted them in right from the very start. I mean, Mark played a version of the game that had gangs in before even Alpha 1, but it didn't work. It took us like 3 more years to figure out how to make it work mechanically. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm quite sure.
Hiya. I just wanted to ask, what is your image of Prison Architect for the future? Is there going to be more content updates, just basic bug bashing, or is version 1 kind of the end game? And
Not at all. Not at all. We're going to be carrying this on. What we don't want to happen is just carry on like milking it until it's like dying in a field somewhere and we're extracting the last few drops from its tits or something. I don't know. We want to make sure that we don't ruin it, but there's still loads of stuff that we want to get in. You know, like the question about guard corruption. I still think that there's a lot we can do. A lot of the systems that we put in, we did kind of just one iteration of it. So the system went in, but just with one example of that system working, when there could be loads and loads more. So there's a lot of plans that we've got afoot to carry on with Prison Architect. But the other thing that you've got to remember is that we set up Introversion to make new video games, new content, and we've been working on this for quite a long time now. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of definitely carry on supporting Prison Architect almost certainly throughout the whole of next year. I couldn't imagine us finishing it much quicker than that. And also try and start in the background working on some new prototypes for what will eventually morph into the next Introversion title. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for us to manage both of these things, but definitely we don't want the message to be at all that we're kind of done with it and it's all just going to be like little polishes and stuff. I still have some rather kind of meaty concepts about what I'd like to put in the game. And now that Chris might be drifting away, I might be able to get my own way a bit more. All right.
I also just quickly wanted to ask, what does your typical prison end up like? Are you wardens who throw somebody in solitary for the minors thing, or are you reform?
Well, you see, the thing is that we have a very different perspective on it because we're always testing it and we're always developing it. So whenever we add a new feature to the game, we make a prison that exploits that feature to the absolute max just to make sure it's all going to work. And so, you know, we always have a strange view. In any case, we can't even come close to some of the prisons that we've seen on the Steam Workshop, you know? You load some of the prisons up and you're looking at like 50 hours of work to build a prison. And that's why we always use them in the alpha videos. Because we never have time to spend 50 hours building a prison. It's incredible what the time people are willing to put into some of their creations.
I always start with a reformist agenda. You know, I'm like, yeah, have some TVs in your cells and stuff.
Start with good intentions.
I start, and then they misbehave, and I just become like authoritarian, and eventually I've just got my head in my hand shaking. You know, what have I become? How have I done this to people? So yeah, it's a dark window into my soul. I'm imagining that we're running out of time.
That's all we got time for, I'm afraid. If you're watching on YouTube, please stick around for Hitman at 3.
No, he just wanted to tell me that you guys have got art books. So if you go to the booth, because you came and saw us, you can all have a really lovely art book. So just check us out at the booth afterwards. Sorry, I forgot.
No
I knew I'd forgot. That's why I got to shout at me. Thanks, Gary.
And yeah, that's it. Thanks very much, Mark and Chris.
Thanks, guys.